Test 1, Question 2. The table shows the cost of renting a bicycle for 1, 2, or 3 hours. Which of the following equations best represents the data if C represents the cost and H represents the time in hours of the rental? Alright, so for this problem, we're given a table and we're given two variables, and we need to define a function relating these two variables. Now, there are several ways to write the general form for a linear equation. The first and most common that you'll see is y is equal to mx plus b. This is the slope-intercept form for a linear equation. We also have a couple of others that might come into play. We have y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1. This is a point slope form. And then finally we have standard form, which is ax plus by is equal to c. Today we're not going to need standard form for this particular problem. We will, however, use both of the other two equations. In addition to these general linear equations, we also need the formula for the slope. The slope m is written as the change in y over the change in x, where this symbol here is delta, which just means a change. This can also be written as y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, where y2, y1, x2, and x1 refer to a first point with the x1 and the y1, and a second point with the x2 and y2. Looking at the table, we can think of our first set of data, the x1, y1, as our first hour cost combo, and then we can think of the point 2 as the second combo of hours and cost. If we plug those into our equation, we will find 7.2 minus 3.60 divided by 2 minus 1. We get 7.2 minus 3.6 comes out to 3.6. Divided by 2 minus 1, which is 1, which leaves us with a slope of 3.60. Now, we need to plug this slope into one of these equations so that we can determine what the intercept is. So in our slope-intercept form, we have m, which is our slope, and now we need to find b, which is our intercept. Luckily for us, using point-slope form is a surefire way to find that intercept. So what we do is we take our equation and we're going to plug in another point, and it doesn't matter which one, so I'm going to choose the first point as that's the easiest one to work with. So we take our y1, which is in this case 3.60. Then we take our slope that we just found, 3.60, times x minus our x1, which is the 1 here. We plug everything in, and now we just need to simplify and solve this equation. Alright, so now I want to carry the 3.60 through to both values, so we get 3.60x and negative 3.60, because remember, you don't want to forget that negative sign. And then on the left side, we just carry this down. And now I want to get y by itself, so in order to do that, I need to add the 3.6 to get rid of it. So if I add 3.6 to this side, I also need to add 3.6 to the other side. So this is going to leave us with y on the left side, 3.60x, and then this happens to cancel out, so this winds up being our answer, or rather in terms of cost in hours, it's c is equal to 3.60h. And our b, in this case, if we're thinking about the slope-intercept form, our b is 0. Another way we can think about the same problem is in terms of the table. So maybe you have an instinctual reaction not to try to solve this algebraically, but to try to solve this using the table. Well, we can see that there's a pattern. For every increase in 1 hour, so from 1 to 2 to 3, you see that it goes from 3.6 to 7.2, which is an increase of 3.6, and from 7.2 to 10.8, which is another increase of 3.6. If we carry this backwards to hour 0, If we subtract 3.6 from 3.6, we get 0. So what that tells us is the fact that it's changing by 3.6 for every change in 1 hour. So 1 hour for $3.6. This tells us our slope. And the fact that when we go back to hour 0 and we get cost of $0, that tells us that our intercept is 0. So then we can just write immediately that y is equal to 3.60x, or c is equal to 3.60h. Alright, one final way we can solve this problem is by looking at the graph. So using this table, we can plug in our points into this graph and kind of get a general idea of what the equation looks like. Since this is a multiple choice question, we can eliminate the answers that don't make sense. So starting off with our first point, using hour 1 on our x-axis and cost of 3.6 on our y-axis, we start here from 1 and we go up to 3, just a little bit above 3, we get our 3.6, and I'm going to draw this a little big so you guys can see a little better. And then finally next we're going to go over to point 2 for hour 2 and then go up. That's 4, 5, 6, 7. We're going to go just a little bit above 7 right here. And so that'll be our second point. And then finally for our third point we go hour 3, 10.8. So this is 3 here, this is 11, so I just need to come over here and just right under the 11, we've got our third point. Now if we just kind of draw a line through and know that this is not an exact graph and kind of sketch this, we get something that looks like this. Now that's not exactly right, but it kind of gives you the idea. And referring to our answer choices, it's clear that the only one that matches is answer choice A.
Thank you for watching this video. These math tutorials are based on the TSI Assessments Secrets study guide by Mometrix. You can find the 2016 version here or the 2020 version, which was updated based on the TSI 2.0 exam. If you would like to reach out to the instructor, you can reach out at the email on screen, or if you have general questions for Del Mar College Veterans Upward Bound, you can reach out at vub@delmar.edu or text or call the number on the screen. Finally, don't forget to like and subscribe for more content like this.